Alright, welcome back to Warriors of Faith, turn 21, and this has actually been a fascinating turn. First of all, there was a battle in Old Forest, and let's view that battle. Remember how I was talking about how I thought the enemy Hound of the Underworld was trapped in the fort? Well, no. No, he wasn't. He had run far, far away long before that, and now he's up here, good old Jason Giambi, trying to stop these Nephil Giants. And this is the situation in which the Nephil Giants excel. It is cold, so their cold power, their ice protection, and cold power are active, making their stats slightly better, and their chill auras most effective. And without his bless, because the Pretender God is dead, Jason Giambi has no cold resistance. So he runs in, attacks, and he's unconscious. Literally that fast. It took 2 rounds of combat surrounded by these overlapping chill auras, and we can see, if we look at him, cold fatigue damage, cold fatigue damage, cold fatigue damage, cold fatigue damage, 19 points right there. Cold fatigue damage, cold fatigue damage. And so he's out of it, he's done. And he just gets chopped to death by the giants, because when you're fatigued out like this, you can't defend yourself, and you have a much, much higher chance of suffering critical hits. So, he's dead. Jason Giambi is no more, and that is the last of the enemy Pretender Gods. We've killed all 3 of them, and they are now laid defenseless before our holy wrath, etc., etc. In Dumna, we marched in and rescued the fortress with no casualties, because they left 1 Spirehorn warrior behind. In Frosted Peaks, Arcos Fale is raiding back provinces taken by Xibalba. In Copper Canyons, we did lose to a small Sauromation force that is re-invading. They killed the dog. How could they? And in Pergami, this is where those Spirehorn warriors went. This is a further north fort. And so here we see the Kalimite army. They've got their 3 mages up front. They've got 2 area Seraphines, which are leaders of their... basically, they're garbage mages, but they're decent leaders and they're stealthy. And they have a whole bunch of fire gems for some reason. Perhaps they're planning to summon lesser fire elementals. And then they have their prophet here, too, who is... that's a Spirehorn warrior. It's hard to tell their prophet apart, because it's a Spirehorn captain. But he should be really close to this... this Fravashi, because the Fravashi is like his guardian soul. Okay, there he is. Whippersnapper the Sastar, and he's got a Thunder Whip, which does shock damage, so that's kind of cool. He also has increased Valor, so morale and leadership, and inspirational. And so you can see this little gang of Jotun Militia Province Defense is charging forward, and then they are evaporated by the landing of the Spirehorn warriors. So we can look at them, we can see they took, first they were hit by lightning bolts, and then they were hit by the charge of the charge increases damage by 5, or by 3, by 5, by 4. So there's a small random factor, but in general, they do quite a bit of damage. However, it is worth noting that after the charge, Spirehorn warriors are basically light militia with only protection 6, so they're not very good after that. They do have magical weapons, though. In the 2 woods, we marched in, we wiped out a few warriors and warrior scouts, that's all, so we took the province, and we burned down a temple. Unexpected events, we have 2 sectarian movements, which is kind of rare and unfortunate. Trying to patrol this one away. This one we're more or less ignoring right now. Might get to it later. But for now, up here, now that I know there's no Hound of Hades in this fort, I am moving Punchmaster away. He is charging deeper into enemy territory to spread our dominion more aggressively, and to take out some of these cataphracts that are starting to build up. I've got my Paraphasiers actually attacking this province, because there's... Well, maybe he shouldn't, because these guys might move in. Actually, I was thinking, because there's no commander in this province, I don't believe, and there's no province defense either. So I was thinking maybe just attack it, but On second thought, Periphas... I mean, Periphas can take out a small amount of province defense by himself. But for now, I'm just going to wait, because I don't know where those Colossi warriors are going, or I may move... Let's move in. Let's try to get onto this fort and start killing off the enchantresses. That would be useful. So, lots of Nephil giants up here. Grand total of, I think, like 7 there, and I don't know how many here. Anyway, it's like 15 or 16. Should be able to take the Saromatian cataphracts, probably, so long as they are in the cold. And over here, Xibalba is just about to be destroyed. We're moving in more troops there. Archocephali is about to take Xibalba's capital and seize control of it, which will be great. So, on the southern front, I'm not actually invading Ulm. I'm making defensive moves, because this army is probably going to raid Niflheim pretty heavily. I'm not sure whether they're going to stay together or split up. If it was me, my guess would be that this army is going to bounce back to hit Griffin Rock again, or possibly Dumna. Probably Griffin Rock, because I do have a whole bunch of troops sitting on Dumna, and I might, they don't know, I might be trying to concentrate my armies there. So, they could go up north and hit the income-producing provinces, these two specifically, and possibly also this one. And they could besiege Niflheim's capital. But I'm willing to venture to guess that they're either going to hit Griffin Rock en masse, or they're going to split up and one part of the army is going to hit Griffin Rock. Because that's kind of what birds do. So, I'm moving the larger portion of my Gigante force to Griffin Rock in order to intercept that. And if this whole army hits Griffin Rock and it runs into this army, I think I win. I'm moving this smaller army to Dumna, and adding 5 of the Gigante hoplites out of this army to this one, in order to even them out just a little bit more. And to catch... Sorry, I got a frog in my throat again. And to catch this army if it jumps back to Dumna in an effort to get away, or to intercept this army if they try to attack Dumna. Like, it might be that this army jumps back here and this army moves forward in an effort to besiege both of these forts, possibly also leaving a force to besiege this fort, and try to just kind of take Niflheim out of the game. This move should prevent that. And if that doesn't happen, if this army jumps deeper in a big way and Ulm doesn't move or whatever, then I will concentrate my forces and attack Ulm directly. I've also got 12 more Gigante hoplites under Hippolytus, or well, it's 11 hoplites and 1 Ekdromos, but 12 more Gigantes moving south towards the bulwark. So, Lytos has picked up a few troops and is site-searching this province. Ami is moving up to Makone. I've got people casting Dark Knowledge, just to be sure I get all the death sites I can. Research is building up pretty quick, which is good. I'm researching down to evocation level 3. I decided to insert construction level 4, because if I'm going to construction level 3, I might as well go to 4 and get better items. And then we will be finishing off construction down to level 5, which will, of course, give us Falling Fires. At some point soon we'll want level 6, but we'll worry about that another day. Demukos with his troops is moving down south in an effort to intercept these folks, who have... That's not the one. Yeah, they've got 7 Oiropadas. 7 Oiropadas should struggle with 4 Gigantes and a Locos. And then, of course, I've got all this light infantry and a couple of heavy cavalry, so I should be able to handle them. And like I said, Punchmaster is moving deeper into enemy territory. I'm recruiting mages from everywhere. I've actually slowed down troop recruitment in order to recruit an Archon, who is one of my more powerful mages. This is kind of one of the things that bugs me about Makone. Like, I'm gonna cancel out that heavy cavalry, get a few more Gigantes. Like, even though I'm large and doing well and have reasonable income, although it's lower than it should be given my territory. Like, my income is objectively bad because I am Makone and I have unrest in all my forts. Better than it was since I have these guys patrolling now, but still. You can see here, like, well, the patrolling in Makone did almost nothing for one thing. But in any case, I've got patrollers working, and they're, like, accomplishing things, but it's still rough. But anyway, so despite the fact that I'm large and doing well, I'm still making so little money that I have to cancel troops in order to recruit mages. Because my mages are, of course, expensive, and my troops are expensive, and I don't get much money. So, Makone, with all the subsidies that I've given, because I've gotten, I think it's over 1,000 gold from Niflheim. It might be closer to 1,500 throughout the game. And that money has basically paid for my army. Like 1,500 gold. If you tot all this up, this whole army isn't all that much more than 1,500 gold, I don't think, because these guys are 40 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So the Gigantes here are just over 1,000 gold. So the subsidies that I've gotten from Niflheim have paid for all of these Gigantes. And these Gigantes are a powerful force. And Makone can do this. Makone can assemble powerful armies, but that doesn't leave them with anything. Like, they get a powerful army, maybe a powerful army and a half, because this is also a fairly potent army, so call it 2. Call it 2. Add up all these and those 12 and these guys. Call it 2 really solid armies. And then they're done. Like, I'm recruiting garbage Gerontes because I can't afford the extra 70 gold for E4s that might actually be useful. I've canceled my heavy cavalry up here because I can't afford to be recruiting good troops, except for the Gigantes. So, I don't mean to say that Helot Hoplites aren't good. Helot Hoplites are pretty solid. But, like, I mean, if I had gone the Helot Swarm route and recruited tons and tons of Helot Peltas and Helot Hoplites, and I was fighting Ulm, I'd probably get my shit kicked in, because Ulmish troops are really good, and Helot troops are merely efficient. Anyway, Makone is still a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, because I like them and I want to like them more. I want them to be like a competitive nation, and they are not. When I have a whole team to lean on, including a part of the team that got a really good position, when I have that as a backstop, then Makone can kind of shine. And that's what I've been doing in this game. I've been using Makone's strengths, which are really good troops, and in this mod, a fairly busted Pretender God chassis. I've been using those strengths in order to perform actually really well. I mean, Makone has performed very well for me in this game. But it's not because Makone is a good nation, it's because I have a bank to draw checks against, and I have Arcocephali up here holding down an entire front. And so I can just focus on churning out Gigante Hoplites and using them to basically act as a giant shield for my allies. Which, okay, that works really well. In this context, Makone works well. I would say in a Disciples game, they're probably significantly stronger than they are in a standard game, because as opposed to having one nation's worth of resources, you have 3 nations worth of resources, or 2 or 4, or however many people are on your team. And the Makone player can go, hey, can I get extra resources so that I can pump out some of my really powerful, expensive troops? And then we can use those to defend everybody else, which is great. And in a cooperative game context, I think that's a really valuable ability, and it's a valuable niche that Makone has that a lot of other nations don't. In a solo game where you don't have that, at this point in the game, I would already have to be making a lot of really hard choices about where my money would be. I probably wouldn't have this many forts. I would probably only have 3. And my research would be even worse, and my research is not great. My armies would be smaller. I just wouldn't be doing nearly so well, even assuming I had lived this long. So anyway, just a word about Makone again. But in any case, in this case, I think, unless he really goes balls to the wall and tries to attack Niflheim, I should be able to kill at least part of this army next turn. I might not, but if I don't, then I'll just attack Ulm. And I'm quite confident I can overrun Ulm, to be fully honest. The only thing he could really do that would stop me would be to pull all the way back into his fortress and sit there. Attacking into a fortress with a Lenormand defending it would be problematic, because my giants do not have poison resistance, and so that Lenormand could go basically block up the gate and use poison to murder my Gigantes over time. We actually saw this happen in my single-player game as Makone when I attempted to attack Niflheim. Their god was Lenormand, and he did exactly that, and it worked really well. So that would be a problem. I would probably have to have to either gear some thugs or bring a bunch of battle magic in order to actually crack Ulm if Pinky the Lenormand gets into the fortress, which I think he probably will. Unless he chooses to attack me in the open field. If he chooses to attack me in the open field, I might actually win against this army, if only by HP routing them, because I think I have an excellent shot at routing the infantry off. The archers will do pretty much nothing to me. The axe warriors could potentially hurt me, but I think my Giganti hoplites will kill them very effectively. And then at some point, if the battle goes as I think it would, the Lenormand would be surrounded and be stabbed from all sides by Giganti hoplites. And since it has almost nothing by way of bless, it'd go down pretty quickly. We can actually view the enemy bless by looking at Pergami here. It is not very powerful, which I kind of expected on this team, because this team is not primarily bless-heavy nations. So if we look at this Fravashi, extra morale, attack skill, shock resistance, fire resistance, and strength. So that's an interesting combination. It's high level, it's at least Earth 5 and Fire 4. The strength +2 might be more Earth, or it might be blood. I'm not sure why it would be blood, though. It makes me think that this is an Earth, like an Earth 8 god. Like Earth 8 at Fire 4, but that's a really high amount of Earth to be paying for on a Pretender chassis. I'm not sure. It's either Earth 5, Fire 4, Blood 4, or it's Earth 8. But if it's Blood 4, then what's the rest of the Blood Bless? Because Strength +2 is only Blood 3. I don't know. In any case, this is what the blessing is. They might have, I guess they might have an imprisoned? I doubt it. I don't think so. But this is the bless. It's not, it won't save a Lenormand from just being stabbed to death by enough Gigantes. So if they attack me, I think I can probably take them. If they fall back into Ulm, then I can certainly put Ulm under siege and prevent them from effectively recruiting much. But actually taking the fortress would be very difficult because of the Lenormand. So I would need to bring up mages and do something. Probably what I would do is I would bring up mages and summon fire elementals and send them through the walls. Since they're ethereal, they can actually go through the walls of the fortress, and so they could engage the infantry and try to cause an HP rout once again. But in any case, that is the turn, and I'll see you all in turn 22, where hopefully we'll catch some birds, and maybe even some Ulmishmen, and be able to continue our pushes on all fronts. Xibalba's capital should be destroyed soon, and then these armies will be able to roll forward into Baratos and help take them out. Punchmaster might go put this fort under siege to prevent them from recruiting any more enchantresses or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, thanks for watching. See you next turn. Alright, so it's turn 22, and this was a weird turn. First of all, there was a battle up here where I was moving Punchmaster in to attack Saramasha. They intercepted me, and we will see that battle here. Saramasha has hit enchantment 5, and they deployed a Communion of Inari, which are really, really good mages, especially in Communion. So you can see here, they've got, I think, 4 of them, maybe a little more, casting Communion Slave. Let's actually take a look and see how many are Communion Slaves. So that's a slave, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 out of the 17 of them are Communion Slaves, leaving 4. And those 4 have effectively been boosted up 3 levels, so they are effectively Death 5, which means they're casting Horde of Skeletons, which normally costs 40 fatigue for, let me see, they're 2 levels above. No, 3 levels above. Horde of Skeletons only requires Death 2, so 3 levels above, which means from 40, it's 20. They're getting 7 fatigue per cast, and then of course they're spreading it among the 11 slaves. So it works out to nothing. So they just cast Horde of Skeletons many, many times, and Punchmaster charges in and punches a whole bunch of skeletons to death, and then gets sleepy and ends up surrounded. Now, they kind of actually fooled themselves here a little bit, because you can see the skeletons pile up very, 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 very rapidly, because he has no AoE damage and no, he doesn't have a fire shield or anything. In any case, it wouldn't really matter because the flow of skeletons is so steady. But the skeletons pile up around him and he goes to sleep, but they can't kill him through his regeneration. They do eventually manage to give him an affliction, but they can't kill him. He won't die. And because he's so totally surrounded by skeletons, he also can't retreat. So, this battle actually goes to the battle timer, at which point the Communion Masters flee, and once the Communion Masters are off the field, all the long dead disintegrate, because they are all mindless, and mindless undead disintegrate when you don't have undead leadership left on the field. So, Punchmaster does get away after killing 132 skeletons. And he retreats here to dry fields, where you can see his experience has gone up quite a bit. But he has gotten a limp. And I don't really care about the combat speed, the attack, or defense, but it lowers his map move by 4, which is really a bummer. Because now it means he's not super fast. So, alas, oh well. Punchmaster is pulling back in any case. Excuse me. And he's pulling back because of this. The Kalem's army did not double back like I thought they might. Instead, they jumped over here to attack my fort in Cimmery. But, well, it's very odd. So they have this army, and it's a pretty substantial army, to be honest. And they've got these guys with air gems, the area seraphs. They've got back here, they have the area seraphines with fire gems. We saw those before. And so they've reached Conjuration 5, and so they're summoning elementals. I'm definitely behind the research curve, by the way. And so they're summoning elementals, air and fire elementals, and they charge in, and they just mop up my province defense with no trouble whatsoever. The Spirehorn Warriors and the air elementals and all of that, they really do just wipe me out. No problem. No issues, nothing, no... And none of their leaders retreat or anything. Everything's fine for them. And then, apparently I'm under siege, but they can't harm my walls. Which is bullshit. This is a palisade. It has 100 wall integrity and 27 siege defense. That's 120 flying units outside my fort. They have siege strength of 2 each. They're laying down almost 250 damage. Well, I mean, a little bit less because these guys don't quite have that kind of strength, but you see what I'm saying. It's over 200. They should have cracked this palisade instantly. It should be broken this turn. There's no reason it wouldn't be. So I don't know why my palisade is untouched. Possibly there's some odd junction of mechanics I'm not aware of. I really don't know. This might actually be a bug. It's very confusing. In Norville, my troops ran into a small expansion party that was trying to attack me. And we beat them. They did kill a number of my helots. As you can see here, the Oreopatas charge into the helots and basically wiped them out. But then the Gigantes came in as the helots routed, and the Gigantes killed the enemy commander and 2 of their Oreopatas, and the survivors fled. So, that was fine. So the chieftain died, 5 of the Oreopatas died, and both the Sarmatian Amazons, so it's just 2 Oreopatas surviving. As you can see, my infantry gets mulched by these guys, and then my Gigantes mulch them right back. So, invading Sarmatia is clearly going to be incredibly difficult. That's Sarmatia right there. They are naturally pumping out Inaris, as they should be. And they've also got some adventurers here, which is weird. They come from a random event. So, yeah, that Skelespam communion is going to be a bit of a problem. In order to fight that, I need fire elementals. So I've swapped my research. After I hit evocation level 3, I'm going to book it straight down to conjuration level 5. My Gigantes can do a lot of fighting, But against that quantity of skeletons, I would need a huge army just to hold my own, let alone cut my way through it. So definitely going to need to be a retreat here. Now, Punchmaster General can stalemate them. Like, he can do that. If they attack here, actually, you know what? I'm going to leave Punchmaster here, so that if these guys attack, they'll be stalemated by Punchmaster. It does mean that we're probably not going to be able to push into Baratos, to Sauromatia, excuse me, until we get that resolved. We've got a whole bunch of Sauramatian Cataphracts up here, a whole bunch of Nephil Giants right there. They seem like they're maybe trying to get around to get into Xibalba. However, Xibalba has just been broken, so it should be going down. After Xibalba is taken, we might be able to negotiate some kind of peace. Not entirely sure, but we'll see. Wouldn't be the worst option, maybe, if only to let us focus down on the south here. Because Calum is Calum is doing what Calum does best. They're being a huge nuisance. I still don't know why this happened. It happening actually gives me an incredible opportunity, because it means that I can concentrate some forces, and a concentration of Gigantes will still destroy that army. I've got a bunch of Gigantes here. Demukos has got 4 Gigantes. I can bring those guys in, and I think those 4 Gigantes, these Gigantes, a couple of Gigantes with Latos, and then these guys are bringing down every fire gem I own, pretty much. And we're going to use it to churn out lesser fire elementals, and then throw fireballs as they land in and among us, around and among us. And I think that actually fire elementals are not going to work on them because all their weapons are magical. That's right. Darn. Well, they'll provide chaff, which is they'll block the initial charge, which is important. So I think it'll still be worthwhile. Yeah, I think so, because it's troop numbers that are a little low for us right now. I could drag these guys up north as well. Except, of course, I can't bring the Gigante Hoplite because Gigantes refuse to be led by humans, and I don't have any Gigante commanders down here. I could recruit a Locos, but that would mean time away from recruiting Onyx Sorceresses. That, I have to say, is one big downfall of Gigantes. In order to lead them, you have to recruit Gigante commanders, and then those Gigante commanders have to take time off from being mages in order to cart Gigantes around. But, hey, in any case, I think they can be led by size 3, so I think I could give Gigantes to a guy on a horse. Weirdly enough, well, that seems a little bit exploitative, but hey, if it works, it works. In any case, I'm invading Ulm, like just with all my troops. I'm just going in, and we're going to go attack Ulm. And I think we should be able to crack Ulm in about 2 turns or so, unless this army doubles back to try and defend it. But I think that army is going to push forward to attack my fort here in the Bulwark. So having assembled this army, then what I do next will be determined by whether this army stays here 1 extra turn to try and actually crack this fort, or whether they move on. If we look at the battle again, real briefly, we'll be able to see what kind of gems they had left. To be honest, I'm not sure. See, they still had quite a few gems. I don't think, given the number of gems the mages are carrying, I kind of doubt they have a reload scout. They might. They may have a reload scout, so I can't really rely on this. But even if they have gems back, I think I can deal with them because Gigantes are really good at killing elementals because their weapons are magical and long, and their protection is high, and their defense is high. So if air elementals land among Gigantes, they trample, and then they get stabbed to death instantly. If fire elementals attack Gigantes, they get stabbed to death instantly. They do cause a little bit of fatigue from the heat aura on the way in, but they die. They really die. So that army, I think, can be taken with a concentration of Gigantes there. And of course, all these guys are just rolling south in order to take Ulm, because worst comes to worst, I can afford to lose Kimri a lot better than Ulm can afford to lose Ulm. So my goal is to threaten Ulm, potentially break Ulm, and then push straight into break Betaine as well. And if we can do that, then we will have objectively won a lot more than we lost. Niflheim is researching, building up troops. They're recruiting some regular giants now instead of Nifl giants, because Nifl giants are so expensive. Arcos Fale should be assaulting Xibalba this turn, and should probably, I think, win with all those troops. I think they can just overwhelm the Xibalban defenders by sheer numbers, pretty much. These guys are playing defense in order to keep these Sauromatian cataphracts out of our hair. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this communion. I'm really not sure. Like I said, Punchmaster can stalemate them, but he might get another affliction. It's a high-stakes gamble, in a way. But it's probably the most useful thing he can do right now. And if he wins, then of course the Inaris retreat. And from here, they do have a variety of retreat provinces. They have 4 total, but they have 2 that are not valid retreat provinces. I'm going to tell Niflheim to take these Nifl giants and take one of these other provinces, like that one or one of these or something. And then when the Inaris retreat and scatter, some of them will die, and then the rest of them will be scattered, and so the communion will be broken. And I should be able to make progress that way to an extent. So I think that's going to be the plan here. Punchmaster is going to effectively defend dry fields, which he can do, especially in his own dominion, where he has 10% more regeneration and more hit points. The skeletons will not be able to kill him at all, in any way. And then we'll see what's good. Periphas is sneaking over here to start assassinating people. And honestly, it should go fine. Like, this is baffling and annoying. I mean, this kind of raiding is annoying, but that's all. Like, he can't kill us by doing this, basically. Yeah, Periphas is too far away to get back. The other strategy would be for Punchmaster to withdraw in order to try and defend Nashin. But honestly, taking Nashin would be, strategically speaking, a terrible idea for Calum. So I'm not patrolling with these guys, I'm just defending with them for this turn. And I'm also defending with Thune, just because I don't want to lose another Cryptes if I don't have to. But I think, basically, we can limit the damage this army does to effectively harassment, while I actually steamroller in and take Ulm. And I think I can do that. If he pulls all these troops back and takes 2 more turns worth of production, he'll be able to get up to enough to make me take like 5 turns to crack the fort. Because I have, between these 2 armies, I have like about 230 siege strength. This fort has 250 wall integrity. Right now it's going to have about 40, about 40 or so siege defense. If he pulls these guys in, these guys will give him about another 40. So 80, 230 minus 80, about 150. It would still only take me, I think, 2 or 3 turns to crack. If he piles in troops from everywhere he can probably make it to, and maybe summons some ogres and stuff, he can probably make it take 5. I'm sure he could make it take 5. If he did make it take 5, I would leave troops there, enough troops there to stop him from coming out, and then take all his other provinces while I was at it. Because just this army, I think, could probably beat a lot of troops if he came out to attack me. Like, a significant number. But in any case, Niflheim, once Niflheim, of course, gets up to Enchantment 5, then we'll have counterplay against Sauromatia's Enchantment 5, but Niflheim's research is a lot less efficient than Sauromatia's, so that'll probably take a while, especially because Niflheim doesn't have any research really done at the moment. My research, of course, like I said, I'm going down to Conjuration level 5 as soon as I hit Evocation level 3. It's going to take me 400, 700, and then I forget what. It's going to take me a couple thousand research points, so it'll take a little while, especially given that I'm going to have to deal with Calum jumping around, and I'm moving out mages instead of using them to research because I need them moving. But overall, you know what? I think it should be okay. I think we're going to be doing all right. Oh, I'm also down here. I am summoning 15 ogres, which will help defend this fort and extend its life if this Olmish army attacks me. If this Olmish army attacks me, they're going to have about, like, close to 100 siege strength. Right now I have 22 siege defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm recruiting another 9.5 there. And then the ogres will give me about 15. So, should bump this up to 40-something. And that'll keep me alive for at least one more turn. Since I'm getting 9 earth gems per turn, per month, I could summon another 2 packs of ogres. And ogres are actually pretty good against Olmish troops because they have enough HP to survive a hit. And they can, while their attacks are not super high quality, Olmish units' defense is not super high quality either. So they can effectively club Olmish units. And if necessary, if Ulm attacks here and Calum runs away, then I can take this army and move down, relieve the siege, and push into Ermorian and Calumish territory with these troops instead of defending. Basically, as long as Calum keeps bouncing around, I'll let him. Like, I don't really mind. I can move troops around to take back provinces that he's raided, and he will run out of gems eventually, and he will wear down eventually from fighting me. So, that's fine by me. So that's the plan. As soon as Xibalba dies, this army should probably push over here into Baratos, and then these troops, I'm encouraging WarriorsofFaith to bring these troops south, because Niflheim and I kind of need the help. I'm fighting on 2 fronts and doing okay, but I'm basically just kind of holding my own with my god up here while all my troops are focused down here. Niflheim's doing solidly. He's got, packs of units actually pushing into Baratos' territory, but he is going to have to kind of stay on the defensive so that he doesn't push into heat with his Nifl giants and get them killed by masses of cataphracts. And, of course, down here, he just doesn't have much. And what he does have is kind of being like he's leaning on my army to protect him in the south, which is fine. I'm happy to do that. But it's a weakness. It's a risk. So, we will see how things go in turn 23. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then. Alright, turn 23. This was a little bit of a frustrating one, but only minor setbacks. So we hit Evocation level 3, so we now have fireballs. We summoned a whole bunch of ogres, cast Dark Knowledge a whole bunch, didn't find any magic sites, unfortunately. You know what, that's okay. I've been really lucky with death sites so far, so I'm content there. The bird army, which did not break my fort last turn, split up. And I guess they must not have actually been set to siege me somehow. In any case, they hit these 3 provinces and took them all, which is a little bit sad, but what you gonna do? This is how birds function. They do this. They hop around blasting you. So Stone Skin, Phoenix Power, and then I'm going to set this guy to Fireball several times. Just in case he's intercepted, he's going to run down here to the safety of these Nifl giants. Up here, they've left 1 Spirehorn warrior to besiege me, so I'm going to relieve them with this little army. I am still recruiting more Gigantes and Archons here. My Archons are Earth randoms, so they don't have a great combat use just yet, but getting up to Conjuration level 5, they'll be able to summon Earth Elementals, and then once I run up to Evocation level 5, they'll be able to throw Blade Wind and Earthquakes, actually. They'll be able to do Earthquake. So that'll be nice. For now, they're researching. I should actually... Ideally, I would send them out to site search for level 3 Earth, but I don't want to do that because these birds could jump on them and kill them, so we're just going to rest for that. I suspect the birds are going to attack this fort. That's what I would do if I was them. So, I am actually going to summon yet more ogres up here. And I've got some infantry, a little bit of heavy cavalry. I'm recruiting some more infantry, and just Gerontes, because I have no money, of course, because Makone never has money. It's funny, I have the largest territory, I think, of any of the 3 members of us, but if you look at the score graphs here, in terms of income, mine is lower and actually trending very slightly downwards, or at best flat, for the last, like 9 turns. Makone problems. In any case, these giants are going to split up, and AI level Doomstacks is going to move south in order to help ward off the birds. My Pretender, Punchmaster, is also going to move back a little bit. I've got Periphas up here ready to assassinate people, and in the south, I'm moving Perses over here to pick up troops, because I have a whole bunch of troops sitting around. And this army has consolidated, and is going to go and attack Ulm itself. They have 170 units here, so they outnumber me about 2 to 1. That said, I think I can take them at 2-to-1 odds if they sally out. And if they don't, I can just besiege the place and sit on it and destroy their walls. And I can send out raiding parties to burn down their temples and then consolidate them back to trick Ulm into trying to break out and then having to fight my whole army. I can move this little army down to help. I'm recruiting dudes there. I'm recruiting dudes here, so I can get everybody kind of piled up together and wreak a little bit of havoc. That's a Gigante Hoplite. Yeah, let's actually make it a real Hoplite there. Also saves me a little bit of gold, which is great. Resources 100. Let's make it a Gigante Hoplite and 4 Helot Peltasts up here. I really like the Gigante Hoplite and Helot Peltast combination. I mean, the human infantry is fine and okay and all, but... well, I guess the reason I was doing that was because I want more mass. I can get 7 units that way. I can get 5 units this way. I think having a Gigante well, these guys just aren't very good. I could also get 5 units that way, and Helot Hoplites are fairly tough because they have high armor. I really like the Gigantes, to be honest. I think the Gigantes are one of the best features of Mikone, and having the Gigantes is really quite valuable. So I'm gonna recruit as many more Gigantes as I can. However, having recruiting Gigantes constantly does definitely kick up my upkeep, and that is becoming a problem. We're definitely not breaking into this fort anytime soon. I strongly suspect he's summoning things in here to make sure that his siege defense stays high, which is fair. I mean, that's fine. So we're just going to leave these Nephil Giants here to besiege that. And Punchmaster, like I said, is going to pull back a little bit. He is slow since he got that limp from the skeletons. Or, well, he's human speed. He's slower. So I need to get him, like, Boots of the Messenger or something to make him quicker, which will reduce his damage a little bit, but frankly, he outputs such absurd quantities of damage anyway that it doesn't really matter. So that is the plan. Oh, and the disappointing thing this turn. A fairly minor setback in the grand scheme of things, but a setback nonetheless. Arco attacked Xibalba and was repulsed. Primarily, I have to say, because Xibalba has clearly pumped a whole lot of time and gems into summoning. So, they've cast crossbreeding a couple of times, got a whole bunch of foul spawn. They've got over 100 skeletons, so they have summoned a lot of Long Dead. And they also have summoned quite a number of Beast Bats. This is, I think Beast Bats come three at a time. They've also got some Akins and an Akin Kanek here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Well, that's not evenly divisible by 3, but I think this is quite a few castings of the Beast Bat summoning spell, so I think Baratos and Sarumetia are feeding Xibalba Blood Slaves so that their Oniki here can summon Beast Bats. Which, once again, good strategy. I like it. And they've also, of course, summoned a ton of skeletons. So, the Flyers charged in here. They fought the Kardachis. They all got wiped out. All the Flyers were killed. However, up in the front lines, that distracted troops from the front lines, and in the front lines, all of these Kardachis have bronze spears that do piercing damage. Well, Long Dead are piercing resistant. And they're also summoning lesser fire elementals in here. So, in the back, all the Flyers were killed. But they managed to rout some of the infantry, and then the Kardachis up here were just not making progress, and were constantly taking damage from the dart throwers on the wall, and from the skeletons, of course. And so they got pushed back and routed. So, yeah, that was unfortunate. The elementals charged in, did some damage, definitely, particularly the fire elementals. But in the end, it was not enough, and the Xibalbans managed to hold us off. So, casualty-wise, numbers very even. However, on Arco's side, Arco did lose 2 of his Mystics and 1 of his Champions. He lost about half his Kardachis and a little more than half of his Peltasts, as well as all his heavy cav. Xibalba lost all their Beast Bats, most of their Foul Spawn, all of their Sun Guides, and about a third of their long dead all told. So about even numbers, but once again, we lost. So now the good news is that there's still an engineer here who did not participate in the fighting, so Xibalba is still under siege. That means they don't get a free turn in order to recruit more stuff. However, I think Arcoscephali is going to need to regroup to spend some time getting back together, at least a turn or two. So Xibalba rather, is going to get a turn. They're going to have a turn free where they can recruit in their capital and where they get full income from their capital and all that stuff. Unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. However, I think with these forts pushing in about another 50 or so troops, these Wind Riders jumping in to combine with these guys, and then all these troops pulling back, I think Arco will be able to put together a force again and have Xibalba back under siege, hopefully within 2 turns. Meanwhile, we're just basically sticking on the defensive along the line here against Baratos and Sarmatia. They can't push in against us, we can't really push in against them. Hopefully at some point we'll take this fort. It has significant siege defense, but we'll be able to bust through it at some point. Demukhos is moving up here to take that province, assuming that these people will jump away. If they don't, his troops will inflict some casualties, but they will lose. And of course down here we're attacking Ulm, and up there we're moving over there to take control of that army. This army is moving north. And I am sending all of it primarily because I'm worried that they're going to jump back and trap me. So yeah, you're summoning fire elementals, then throwing fireballs, 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 fireballs. Great. Excellent. So that is going to be the turn, and I will see you all in turn 24. Last little bit of analysis. This is a little bit worrying, especially because we have this right here. Not quite sure what to do about it. They've got Bone Tribe there. We're all a little bit intermixed along this flank, so we'll need to rationalize that a little at some point. But to be fair, Tianchi has every right to be nervous. They do have their capital right there. They are also summoning quite a few long dead, interestingly. So we will see how things progress. Take care. See you in turn 24.